It's a pretty important time for us to take back control of our life. There's two worlds that we can master. The external world, which we can't control, but we can influence. And the internal world, which we can control. So the question is, do you have the mindset? Do you currently have the skills, the strategies, and the tools to make 2021 the best year of your life? You know, most people's idea of those tools is hope for a new year or wish that they're going to lose weight. Most people make New Year's resolutions, but you and I both know they're not really resolutions. They're just wishes. I'd like to lose weight, 20 pounds. I'd like to do this, but by the first week in February, 85% of the people have already broken the New Year's resolution. Let's say you're in a tough place in your business or your career and you got to figure out what to do, or you're in a tough place in a relationship where you want to create one, or you're just frustrated, overwhelmed, stressed, or maybe saddened by all the things we've gone through. And here's what people don't get. You can end suffering by stop focusing on yourself and focus on something you want to serve greater than yourself. Your children, your wife, your mission, your life. The decision to say, I am not going to suffer. That if suffering arises, pain's one thing, suffering's another. And the way you suffer is you focus on yourself. Suffering comes when we obsess about ourselves, what we're getting or not getting, what we should have done, what others should have done for us. It's the me game. So your metrics might be, I want to do this in my business, I want to do this in my body. You be that way. Somebody else might be, I want to be happy no matter what happens. That's my metric. I want to literally be honest that when I start to feel any form of suffering, I kill it like a dead bug and I crush it and I'm back into a beautiful state. An extraordinary life is life on your terms, and there's two parts. Part one to have an extraordinary life is mastering the skill of the science of achievement. How do I take what I envision and make it real? And how do I do that quicker, faster, better, easier? The ability to manifest what you come up with and make it real, like you've done with your company, you can save yourself a decade. I can tell you that the science of achievement, there are a lot of people that are damn good at that, and they still don't have an extraordinary life. So the second skill is the art of fulfillment. If you want an extraordinary life, you can't just achieve, you gotta be fulfilled. As simplistic as that sounds, but it's an art. It's not a science. It's a science to making money. Come on. Any age, any color, any background, any gender. If you do these things, you'll have an abundance of money. You do these things, you're going to have too much month at the end of the money. You're going to have financial stress. Body. Everyone's biochemically different, but you and I both know there's fundamental rules, laws. There's a science to the body. You violate that science, you're going to have dis-ease. You're going to have low energy. You align with that, you're going to have an abundance of energy. It's going to affect everything in your life. It's a science. Fulfillment's not like that. Fulfillment is as different as our human beings. You want to know what God or the universe likes? Look at the jungle, look at the forest. It's diverse. The ultimate failure. Because if you go at something and you fail and you're an achiever, you don't fail. But when you succeed and you're not happy, you're technically screwed. I believe our lives are controlled by one force, decisions. I certainly believe in force greater than myself. Call it God if you will, grace, whatever you want to call it, the universe. But I also believe it gives us choices. And the decisions we make control us much more than the conditions we meet. It's not the conditions, it's your decisions. Decisions of what to believe, decisions of what to do, decisions of what to give. I say to people, look back 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, and think of a decision you made. That if you would have made a different decision, you'd have a totally different life today. Better or worse, if you'd stayed doing what you're doing, you'd have a lot of money and still been miserable. Above any on the face of the earth is deciding, no matter what happens in your life, no matter what happens, you're going to live in a beautiful state. It means that you're not going to suffer. It means a beautiful state is that you're going to be happy. But that's only one. Or you're going to feel creative. Or you're going to be passionate. Or you're going to be in awe of something. Or you're going to feel love. Any state that's a beautiful state is really the core essence of who you are without fear. All of our suffering as human beings, I deal with people all the time, and without naming any names, people that have everything, right, your point of view, most people's point of view, they have the fame and they have the love and millions of people love them and they have great economics, financial freedom, and they have homes and they have everything. I can't tell you how many of them are miserable. The majority are miserable. I'm not bullshitting. When I say miserable, they're so used to it, some of them don't even realize they're miserable, but most do. They get in a place where it's like, how do I keep this up? How do I keep outdoing myself? And then they worry about what will people think? What will they do? So the decision to say, I am not going to suffer. That if suffering arises, pain's one thing, suffering's another. And the way you suffer is you focus on yourself. Suffering comes when we obsess about ourselves, what we're getting or not getting, what we should have done, what others should have done for us. It's the me game. When you do suffer, it'll because you're worrying about something in the future, How's this going to happen? Will this come together? Suffering can be worry, it can be anger, it can be frustration. It's anything that takes you out of a beautiful state. You can end suffering by stop focusing on yourself and focus on something you want to serve greater than yourself. Your children, your wife, your mission, your life. You can get out of it in an instant because the nature of the human mind is to constantly compare things. Your mind, your brain is a 2 million year old device, and it is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to make you survive.
It basically regulates your body to keep you alive. It also, when you're sleeping, half of your mind shuts down and the other half catalogs everything that happened to you today so you can have memories. And the third thing that your mind does is it protects your ass. And the main way that it does that is it does that by magnifying risk. Magnifies any situation or any conversation. And so, what happened for me is I realized this was not the situation that I wanted. I didn't want my life to end in divorce. I didn't want to be in financial ruin. I didn't want to be depressed. I didn't want to be anxious. And here's the truly screwed up thing. I knew what to do to fix it. See, this is the trap that most of us are in. Most of us know what we could do to change things for the better. And we spend our time and our energy talking ourselves out of doing those things. And the other thing that I convince people of, because this is so true, it's the littlest stuff. The little things make all the difference. What I know is that true change comes down to 5-second windows. That moment that you know you need to do something that feels slightly uncomfortable, and your resignation, your excuses, your self-doubt start cranking up in your head, you gotta move. You have to move. And so what happened for me is I invented a hack, a brain hack. It's the stupidest thing in the world. And it turns out that it's actually tremendously profound and powerful at a neurological level and at a scientific and a psychological level. I think I've discovered the secret to changing anything. So I called it the 5-second rule because I never intended to talk about it. It was a cheat to beat the alarm clock. Here's how it goes. The alarm rings in the morning. Most of us don't want to get out of bed, right? But we know we should. So I would go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The moment the alarm rang, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just like NASA, what they do, they count down to launch a rocket ship. And the counting backwards kind of shut my mind off. And then suddenly at 1, I would stand up. And I would use this every single morning to get out of bed. What I know is that those are 2 different parts of your brain going at once. And if you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you interrupt the habit of self-doubt and the habit of talking yourself out of it and shutting down the part of the brain that actually minimizes your power. And you awaken the part of the brain that is active in functional MRIs when you're trying to change. So many of you are waiting to be picked. By who? Are you making the most of your life? And the answer is yes, if you pay attention to what you do in 5-second windows. Are you the kind of person that when your instincts come alive and they want to nudge you to go talk to that cute gal across the way or raise your hand in a meeting and share that idea? Are you the kind of person that pushes yourself to step into that? Or do you pull back? That's the power of a 5-second decision, because you can't choose how you feel. You can't. So the greatest capacity, I believe, in the next 10 years for people, particularly as technology accelerates, is do you have the ability to focus on what matters, and do you have control over your thoughts and actions?
Nobody changes until they change their energy. And when you change your energy, you change your life. Okay, well, most people, number one, they get up in the morning and the first thing they do is they think about the problems in their life. And those problems are memories from the past. So the moment they think about the problems, they're thinking in the past. Every one of those problems has an emotion attached to them, so they start feeling unhappy or unworthy or whatever. And how you think and how you feel is your state of being. So most people's entire state of being is in the past when they start the day. So if they're in the familiar past, they're going to live in a predictable future, right? So they get up and they check their cell phone, they check their text, their WhatsApp, their Facebook, they post something on Facebook, they tweet, they Twitter, they check the news, then they go to the bathroom, get a cup of coffee, take a shower, get dressed, check more emails, drive to work the same way, do the same thing. So they're programming. They've actually lost their free will to the program. So all of a sudden, people become addicted to their own thoughts. So these people realize that, oh my God, I've been mismanaging my attention and energy, and I got to get beyond my past. I got to get beyond these emotions. I got to make some big changes. I got to break the habit of being myself. Now, That sounds really good theoretically and philosophically, but change is such a hard thing, right? Because the moment you come back to your senses and you step back into your life and you see that person, or you go to that place, or you're with that experience, so many people are unconsciously reacting in their thoughts and feelings to everything in their environment. So now their environment is controlling how they think and feel. So they realize that in order to change the environment, they got to be greater than their environment, greater than the conditions in the world, greater than the circumstance. Because the moment you start reacting emotionally, emotions are a record of the past. And if those emotions are driving your thoughts, you're thinking in the past. And if you can't think greater than how you feel, and you believe your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, you're creating more of your past. So it turns out that the repetition of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking, these loops that people get caught in, condition their body to subconsciously become the mind of that emotion. Which means now their body, as their unconscious mind, is believing they're living in the same past experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. What's the relevance behind that? Well, the latest research on genes says genes don't create disease. It's the environment that signals the gene that creates disease. If you're reacting emotionally to your environment the same way, you're signaling the same gene in the same way, and now you're headed for a genetic destiny. So the hormones of stress push the genetic buttons that create disease. If you can turn on the stress response just by thought alone, your thoughts could make you sick. And if your thoughts can make you sick, is it possible that your thoughts can make you well? So I began to realize that, oh my God, the repetition of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking caused me to feel guilt, and I don't even know it's guilt, it just feels like me. It's just, I'm used to the same chemical continuity. Now, the moment they decided to change, anytime you decide to change and change anything about yourself, get ready, because it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to hurt. That's a victory. And you're changing some aspect of yourself. So then ask yourself, I do this all the time, write down 4 thoughts that you're going to stay conscious of the whole day. I can't, it's too hard. You'd be surprised the moment you become conscious of what those thoughts are, how unconscious you've been to them all day, for weeks on end. Write down what you speak, how you speak, 4 things you want to change, how you act. How do you act? Do you complain? Do you blame? Do you make excuses? Do you feel sorry for yourself? That's a victim consciousness. What emotions do you live by? Is it possible that you're so used to living by guilt you don't even know it's guilt, it just feels like you? Do you allow your energy to drop? Become conscious of those states of mind and body and review them. And say, this is the old self. Then say, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? And start firing and wiring and start feeling it. What behaviors will I demonstrate today? What choices will I make? One day, one lifetime, rehearse them. Rehearse the whole entire thing. Begin to install the neurological hardware in your brain. And if you keep installing it, the hardware is going to become a software program, and you start thinking and acting that way. And then here's the tough part. Can you teach your body emotionally what your future is going to feel like before it's made manifest? And don't get up until you feel that way. Now, practice that for a few days. And then see if you can stay in that state and watch all of a sudden all those weird doors start opening for synchronicities, whatever they are. Number 2, take a time at the end of your day. The end of your day before you lay down and give thanks for your life. And feel gratitude and really teach your body what it feels like. Gratitude means you're getting something. If I give you something that's of value, you would say thank you because you would feel it, right? So when you're receiving, you're giving thanks. So gratitude is the ultimate state of receiving. So then people only accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to their emotional state. So if you're in a state of gratitude, every thought's going to make it right down into your body. If you're saying, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, and your body's programmed in negativity, it's saying, no, you're not, no, you're not, no, you're not, that thought's going to stop right here. So as you elevate your state, there are about 1,200 different chemical reactions that go on in the body that begin to restore and repair the body in a state of gratitude. And so we've done the research to prove that. 10 minutes and just feel it with all of your heart.